Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 26th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. I've got the air mass characteristics overlaid here as well, so you can see the subtropical air in the yellow and the tropical and the green down here, and you can see the very cold air across the Gulf of Alaska spilling out towards the Aleutians, creating this potent gradient, this atmospheric river activity back into the Pacific Northwest. Very strong jet stream will be accompanying this, and that's what's going to be feeding our storms over the next few days. Big rainfall amounts incoming here, and some especially high flooding potential here across southwest BC and Vancouver Island, but it will also include portions of Washington and Oregon at times as well. I'm going to dive into those details. We go through the video here this morning, taking a look at the Doppler radar overlay. You can see some of that precip already starting across western Oregon, moving its way up towards Vancouver Island. And again, just this non-stop conveyor belt of atmospheric river activity is incoming as we go through the midweek period here. Now, looking at daily 2-meter max temperature, and as we go on in through tomorrow, you can see we're starting to warm up, and we Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, we have the chance to break some records here locally as well, even for Seattle. The record high for the 29th, for example, is 60 degrees, and the European calling for 62, so it could get kind of interesting out there, even though much of the time this is going to be associated with clouds and rainfall in the warm southwest flow. Also, the snow levels are going to go sky high for some of the areas here across BC and Washington for a time as well. We'll look at those details more towards the end of the video. Looking at Seattle, Tacoma, again, we're going to be close to the record highs on these 3 days, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And if we look here, you can see those records are 57, 60, and 59. So we'll be watching closely for that to see if we can break some record highs. Taking a look at some of the coastal areas, this is Quileute, Washington, and we could get a little bit gusty here. Some gusts up towards 50. We have that potential, but this is not a region-wide windstorm or anything of that nature. And if we look at Seattle, you can see just some gusty winds out there, maybe some gusts into the 30s. Nothing too wild. Vancouver Island up towards Haida Gwaii, maybe a little bit windier here as those low pressure centers make a closer pass out there. But for the most part, we're not looking at anything that's going to be affecting Washington, Oregon as far as big windstorm potential right now. Looking at the European, this is the 12Z run, significant wave height. And I just want to kind of show you as we get this atmospheric river activity, you're going to be increasing some of that wave height initially a bit north across Vancouver Island, Haida Gwaii, but then we're going to include a lot of Washington, Oregon coast as we move on in through next week. So it could be some good wave watching out there next week if you want to get out towards the coastline. And of course, assume sneaker wave activity at this time of year anywhere up and down the west coast. Just always keep that in the back of your mind. Looking at a day one excessive rainfall outlook, initially targeting portions of Oregon here, day two coming up the Washington coast, and this is probably going to be changing back and forth over the next few days. And again, Vancouver Island and southwest BC are going to be especially targeted with the trajectory of this atmospheric river activity. Now, looking at that trajectory here, you can see it on the GFS. I put this into motion. You can see it just coming out of the south-southwest. For the really big stuff across the Washington-Oregon Cascades, you want that flow perpendicular, more out of the west-southwest. And right now, we're not getting that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get big precipitation amounts off and on here over the next few days and next week. And you can see just the persistent nature of this perfectly aligned atmospheric river into some southwest BC and Vancouver Island. And this could be impacting some of the Olympic Mountains as well. And then you think you're done there as you move on into Monday night, but lo and behold, the finale comes as we go on in towards Tuesday afternoon and evening and just rolls on in through a very potent frontal system. It's going to be affecting all the way from Haida Gwaii all the way down California as we go on in towards the end of next week. And then we start to bring a cooler air mass across the region. We'll worry about that coming up here as we go in future days. Now, looking at the dynamic tropopause potential temperature, we got the northern hemisphere here. You can see Alaska, Washington, California. There's the Hawaiian Islands. Japan is way over here. So you can see this cold air that's spilled out. And look at this intense gradient. That's what's driving this very powerful jet stream. And that's what's bringing this atmospheric river activity into the Pacific Northwest. And very warm air aloft is going to be spreading into the region here, really doing a bit of damage here to some of the snowpack, especially across the Washington, Oregon Cascades, and at times British Columbia. We're going to go above freezing for a bit, but then we have the return of some cooler air as we go through the extended forecast. So we have that to look at here as we go. So hopefully we can start to rebuild whatever snowpack we damage or reduce here over the next few days. This is looking at Whistler. Check it out. You can see that freezing line getting quite a ways up there here, probably all the way on in through Thursday morning. Then we crash back down as we go towards the following weekend here, hopefully starting to bring some snow with it for the higher terrain. Crystal Mountain as well. We're looking at about 4,500 foot elevation. Look at this freezing level up over 10,000 feet at times. And again, crashing back down by the time we get in towards towards Thursday afternoon or so. And this is the GFS, shows something very similar to what the European is showing. Now looking at snow depth in inches. So if we start scrolling through here, you can see some of these numbers. We're going the wrong way here, folks. We're going backwards, and we're reducing that snowpack across some of the higher terrain. So that's the price you pay for these atmospheric rivers rolling in here and bringing that very warm air associated. But then as we go through the extended, hopefully we can start to replenish some of that snowfall here as we go off in towards, early February here. This would be the morning of Monday, February 5th. And now looking at 24-hour running total here, initially Oregon pretty targeted here with some of this action as we go on in through Saturday morning. You can see some of this moving across western Washington, Vancouver Island here. We do get some small breaks here between some of these systems, but look as we go into Monday morning, kind of a dire period here for Vancouver Island. Looks like it's really going to be targeted. That's going to spill over into some of southwest BC. Also, a little bit of a break here across some of Washington and Oregon, and then we got the finale rolling in here as we go through Tuesday on into Wednesday. So we got to watch here carefully because some areas are going to flood across Vancouver Island, and some of that could be flooding across some of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, especially the coastal range at times as we go on in towards next week. And then that cooler air mass tries to arrive. Look at the national blend of models as well. We'll scroll through. This is total precipitation in inches over the entire time period here. We're now looking out about almost a week out here, and you can see just the ridiculous amounts across Vancouver Island, southwest BC, and the Olympic Mountains. And the coastal area is not doing bad as well. Some of southwest Oregon, the Cascades, bringing some big precipitation amounts in there also. And you can see some of that rain shadowing to the northeast of the Olympics. And look at this dramatic rain shadowing across some of BC, Washington, and Oregon as well. Once you get back up into some of the higher terrain off to the east, it starts picking up. But you really see where these atmospheric rivers target. Now, taking a look at the cross-section, and this is why, these don't extend much above 10,000 feet. And so when they slam into the terrain, they really get weakened and they drop a lot of their precipitation. So that's why you get such dramatic rain shadowing effect with these atmospheric rivers. Here's a national blend of models here. I just wanted to kind of show you over the next few days, kind of targeting some of Oregon here. And this is a high-resolution model, so you can really see it picking up some of these bigger amounts across the higher terrain of the coastal range of Oregon, southwest Washington, and British Columbia here also. And you can kind of see that dramatic rain shadowing on the leeward side of the Olympic Mountains here. So I kind of wanted to point that out. But you see some of these locally heavy amounts across southwest Washington and the Oregon Cascades, southwest Oregon also. So yeah, interesting stuff here. We'll be breaking this down again tomorrow, but yeah, we got to watch out for some flooding concerns. It's just a good thing that this trajectory of this atmospheric river isn't a little bit more out of the west, because then we would really be looking at some significant flooding across Washington and Oregon. However, Vancouver Island, especially as we go on into the early portion of next week, is really going to be targeted very strongly with these atmospheric rivers. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, click down on the link down below to save 10% off. It's got a lightning detection system with it. It's totally wireless, also solar powered, very easy to set up, very fun. But yeah, lots going on here, folks. And we'll probably be doing, maybe do a live stream or a second video here one of these upcoming days. We got some really warm temperatures, that warm air aloft. Hopefully we're not going to reduce the snow back by too much out there. And then we'll turn our eyes towards that cooler air as we go through the next few days. We'll wait to get better a model agreement on just what kind of pattern change will be upcoming as we go through the end of next week. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.